Welcome back to Basin Motorsports for another day here in the garage. So ethanol-free gasoline, a lot of times you can buy it at the local pump. It's more expensive, but did you know you can actually make ethanol-free gasoline at home? The simple process of it is an extraction with water. And I know that sounds crazy. Why would I put water in gasoline? But it actually is going to work. So if you had a setup called an ethonator, this is going to be basically a container with a stopcock at the bottom so you could drain out the excess fluid at the end. You're going to mix in 1 gallon of pump gas, which would be E10 typically. You're going to put in 1 cup of distilled water. You're going to vigorously shake it for about 30 seconds, and the point of this is to get it very, very well mixed together so that that water that you just introduced can mix very well with the gasoline and start to draw out that ethanol. Now, into your water, you want to add in some food coloring because at 3 or 4 hours, what you'll start to see is that these are going to separate. Water and ethanol mix is heavier than ethanol-free gasoline. So when you let this sit, what you'll notice is that a darker color, because you're going to add food coloring, is going to sit below the gasoline. Now at 12 hours, it should be fully separated out. And what you'll see is a lighter, kind of more of a clear ethanol-free gasoline and a darker, because of food coloring, ethanol water mix. At that point, you can open up your stopcock. You can drain off all of the food coloring, which helps because you see where the line is. You drain it all out into a separate container. And at that point, you have just a little less of a gasoline, a little less of a gallon of gasoline, which is going to be ethanol free. Now, as an enthusiast, this sounds amazing, right? Well, here's some caveats to doing this at home. One, if you're going to do a single gallon of gas, that's probably not going to get you very far in a car. I did mention doing distilled water, and I did talk to a petroleum engineer about using something other than distilled water, like tap water, and the recommendation was don't do it because you don't know what's about to happen. A lot of times tap water has extra chlorine in it, extra vitamins, extra everything, right? I have well water which has a lot of iron. I've also had another well that had sulfur. The distilled water is not gonna have any of that in there. But tap water, a lot of times the ethanol will drain out and it will leave behind the extra minerals. So now you're gonna have ethanol-free gas with extra chlorine, extra sulfur, extra iron, or any of those in there. And that may or may not just cause a big problem in a car or anything else. Also note that the water and ethanol mix may or may not be a hazardous waste in your area. You might be able to pour it down your local sewer drain, or it might have to go to something that's like a hazardous material recycling center. Please check out your local regulations before you try this because I'd hate for you to get to the end and be like, uh-oh, I can't get rid of this stuff now. And the last thing to be aware of is that taking out the ethanol typically reduces gasoline octane up to 3 points. So if you start with the regular octane, that's 87 octane, you're now going to drop that down to somewhere to the 84 to 85 range by doing that. So if you're going to try and extract out the ethanol of it, start with premium, which again, it's going to be higher cost anyway, but at least if you're starting with like a 91, 92 octane, you can drop that down into the range of the regular octane, which may or may not cause a problem in your vehicle. So just be aware of that. 3 points is what it's probably going to drop in octane. Now, if you do go ahead and try this, I'd love to hear about it. Leave it down in the comments. If you're a YouTuber and you want to go try this, well, send me a link. I'd love to see what you come up with for the apparatus of the ethonator to build one. I couldn't really find a great kit to buy to be able to do this, but it's not really that hard. You could do a simple gasoline. And I've seen people do it with just simple like 2-gallon gas cans, separate it out, and then they pour off the gas. Because it's lighter, it's going to be on top. Just be careful knowing that you may get some mixing along the way. This one's a little bit easier because you're only draining out the heavy stuff out the bottom. So with that, we'll see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. And if you try it, let me know.